Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of IFF News. Myself, Shayan, and today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Abhik Chatterjee, the current CEO of Kerala Blasters. And I think he has seen everything of Indian football. Man, he was with Odisha FC, Northeast United, and now he's with Kerala Blasters. Abhik, thank you for your time, for taking out time from your busy schedule and being a part of us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Abhik, when we start this discussion last week, there was one good development which happened. We generally don't see in Indian football that infrastructure building activity taken by Kerala Blasters. So, was it planned when you came to the scene of Kerala Blasters? Was it planned right now, or was it planned beforehand only that Kerala Blasters would impact more work on the infrastructure building activities?
No, it was already planned beforehand. There were plans in place. There was a strategy in place, which came from the owner. Even he was from the ownership group, Nikhil in particular, who was very clear that it was the direction he wanted to go in. What caused it to take more time than it could have was the fact that land is not very easily available in Kerala, right? And obviously the prices at which it is available sometimes you have to also see whether there's a loss making entity in Indian football, because all clubs in Indian football are losing money. You have to pick and choose what is your entry point into that. So all of these have to line up, what the budget is, how much would it cost, the entire project cost, what is, can you outrightly buy it, can you lease it, what is the best possible solution. So the thought was already there, and a lot of the background work was already done by the time I arrived, to give credit to the people who sort of laid that out. But when I came in, we were in the sort of early execution phase, right? And that is when I entered, and sort of it developed over time to the point wherein now we were able to complete work on it. There's still some final touch-ups to be done, but in essence, from a project standpoint, we were able to execute it over a period of a year and bring it to a close.
Okay, okay. Abhik, the one, I think it's a great initiative taken by Kerala Blasters team there. So, Abhik, the one more important point what we discuss is that what we have seen in newspaper or the media reports are that Kerala Blasters needs to pay a huge amount of money to the, I think I think municipal corporation. What I was told that for holding a match. So, do you plan to build a stadium? Because we get a lot of questions coming from the people from Kerala in our pages that do you plan to build a stadium for future for the fans?
Good question. So I would like to break this into two parts, right? One is obviously when we say build a stadium, we should be aware of what the costs associated with it are. So if I have to build a very basic stadium also, say a 15 to 18,000 capacity stadium with bare minimal construction, and like a very basic stadium, it would, excluding the land, the cost of the land, forget the cost of the land and the registration of the land, it would cost me anywhere between 150 to 200 crores, right? So that is not chump change. That's not money that you put out immediately, especially when you've lost, as much as on an average 3 to 400 crores in Indian football over the period of the last 10 years or so. So it's not something that you can immediately put out, right? And then obviously when you're putting that money in, you have to look at a phase wherein you can recover that money from a business practice, or at least make that money back, right? And the timeline to do that is not exactly, you won't make all that money back, or you will not break even on your investment in 1 year. It's a long term period, right? And in Indian football, given the scenario, any investor who would want to put in that sort of money will also look at what the surety for the time frame ahead is to make that money back, or to at least break even on that money by whatever, hosting games, hosting events, etc. So there is a very practical business angle when it comes to making an investment like this, which is not a small investment, number one. Number two, whenever you speak about building something like this, it is also something that requires thorough planning. It requires the right sort of how would I say, all the elements to come together to make it. And within Indian football, I think there is only one team at the moment that owns its own stadium, which is Jamshedpur FC. If it was that easily done, I think every club would have done it. But there are practical challenges on ground which people have to understand. And it's not, the sad thing about it is, I think people feel that if you own a football club, if somebody owns a football club, they are almost obliged to build stadiums, build pitches, do this, do that, like almost
Mhm.
obligated to burn money. They're not obligated to burn
Mhm.
money, they're obligated to be smart about their investments, especially when it's Indian football is entering a very crucial stage right now.
Correct.
So there are so many things that make it something which is difficult to execute, right? From the scale of the investment, the time frame over which you would want to see out an investment like this, and obviously the Indian football market economics as it is, right? So if and when the time is right, I think not just us, every club will try and do it. But it is just that the scale of it is so daunting, and the investment is so large, I think, which is why clubs are preferring right now to rent, because in the immediate future, if you're planning to budget for 2 to 3 years on your balance sheet,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's easier. And that's even though you might be paying slightly higher, that investment in a short term looks much better than putting 150 to 200 crores in your balance sheet straight away, when the confidence of a long term situation in Indian football is not the best at the moment, right? So those are
Correct.
the elements that come into play when we speak about building a stadium.
Abhik, one more thing, you got to a very important point. You're saying about the break-even part. So, what the media reports say, Kerala Blasters is one of the clubs who are very close to achieve that break-even part in comparison to other ISL clubs. So, any time frame you have within 5 years or within 3 years, you would achieve the break-even part, going the way the club is run right now.
Yeah. So when we say we are close to breaking even, it doesn't mean it's like a few lakhs, etc. It's still a considerable distance. As in, we are closer, you're right, than most other
Correct.
clubs. You're absolutely right. But there are a few other clubs at the moment who are making smart decisions, who I feel are very close to us in that sense. But the time frame to break even, I believe, would be, I'm not placing a time frame of 3 to 4 to 5 years. It would have to be very soon, because a we are reaching a point wherein we need to give confidence to all stakeholders and investors in Indian football, that Indian football is a good place to put your money into, right? Which hasn't been the case
Correct.
till now, in the sense that nobody has ever made back anything on the investment. In fact, they have to be credited for running the show till now, for pumping in the money, for making sure that this entire ecosystem is alive, right? So every single person who's invested in Indian football has my respect in that sense. And the second angle to it is that when you're trying to break even, you have to understand how are you going to achieve it. So that comes from your philosophy. You can say that, okay, I don't want to invest on top Indian players at the moment. I want to invest in potential. I want to make sure that I stick with that potential and that core for 2 to 3 years, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what the results are, no matter what the perception from outside is. But in the end, I know I'm going to succeed, right? With a core group of players, with a coach. If you have a plan like that, um, then you have built in an economic angle around the players. And secondly is to get smarter with your operations, right? How efficiently are you managing your operations? How much are you managing to limit your expense on that? And finally, you have the commercial angle, which at Kerala Blasters we do fairly well. There is a lot of interest every year, and which is why we are able to bridge that gap and make it slightly lesser. So all of these three elements, if you combine together, can help you break even for sure. But then all of these need to come together at the same time as well, which is a challenge, right? Every year, sometimes player budgets go up, sometimes operational budgets go up, sometimes commercial goes down. So it's not, they don't align equally all years. But that's the challenge, and that is the ambition, and that is a plan to make all three of these align at some point, wherein you're spending smartly. You're spending to ensure that you get success, but at the same time you're not overspending and inflating the market. Secondly, to ensure that your operations are run in a manner that you do things smartly, you are able to streamline expenses. And finally, commercially, we need to do well. We need to attract the right brands. We need to make sure that brands have that confidence in us, to see us as a vehicle of getting their message across. When all three of these align in a year, whether it's this year, next year, year after, that's when you have the highest chances of breaking even. And on top of this, if your team does well and your team is doing well, which is another big factor, uh, there's every chance that you'll be able to do so.
Correctly said. I think, Avita, I think this is a big statement coming from you, that it's a matter of not about it's a collective effort. It has to be a collective effort to for the club to achieve a break even. It's not so easy in Indian football ecosystem. So, Avita, my next question to you would be, Avita, for last Kerala Blasters has been in existence from 2014. So we are in 12th year of the club's existence right now. So Mike's next question to you would be: there is a trophy pressure that when we interact with the fans, when we are in Kerala, or when we are covering sports in different parts of India. I interact with many Kerala Blasters because you have Malayali spread all over the country right now. So when I interact with them, the one thing what they ask is, we have to win our trophy to get more and more of fans. So so one part, I agree that inflated market and that part is very important. But sometimes there are pressure from people, from the fans, basically. What I hear, that you need to buy some players to get some results, because Kerala Blasters is unable to win any trophy. I think a major trophy in last 12 years. So how you plan to revive it this year and bring more fans to the stadium? I think you have good attendance wise, one of the highest attended clubs in India. But how do you increase that? That can only be possible only for
Yeah.
success, right?
Yeah.
तो अब सक्सेस कैसे
Correct.
लाओगे,
So,
that's the question.
so 100%, I think success breeds success. That is without a doubt. There are no excuses to give on that front. But like I always keep telling people, the club has been in three finals, lost two penalty shootouts. The margin is so thin. We could have been sitting with minimum one or three ISL cups, and then nobody talks about this. But I think the best way to deal with it, I think, is to believe in what you're doing. Again, I don't believe that sometimes buying players is key to success. You just have to look at some of the clubs like Northeast United, for example. I compliment them for doing the job they're doing. And then they're not at all amongst the top spenders. They're among they've spent wisely. They have a good coach on board, etc., and they've been able to get results. So I believe that in terms of recruitment, you have to be smart. It does not necessarily mean buying big players. We bought big players in the past, and sometimes we've been laced with disappointment that the investment we've put in has not turned out into results on the field. So the idea has to be to recruit smartly, to recruit players who are passionate about Kerala Blasters. I always say, to be a Kerala Blasters player, you need to be somebody who can absorb pressure and somebody who's able to translate that into the pitch and not get swayed by the attention the fans give you. It's very easy to get lost in all the love that the Blasters fans give their players. But what you need to do is, for all the love that they're giving you, you need to put that back 2x onto the pitch. You need to be hungry, you need to be somebody who's driven, and you need to be somebody who's absolutely passionate about giving the club the best you can, right? So the recruitment has to be smart. We need to bring in players who want to be at the club. And then obviously, from a big part of all of this is the coach, right? And there have been instances that football will give you many examples when you have a cohesive group of players, when you have players who are willing to give everything for the badge, and when you have a coach who leads ably, and when we are able to provide them with an environment that is conducive for this spirit, success will come, right? And again, I don't want to sort of give references which are out of scale for us, but you've seen many clubs who've not won many things over a long period of time, but then success has come, right? I always say that in football there is no guarantee, right? Buying
Correct.
10 top players will not give me any guarantee of winning. It will definitely give me a good chance of winning something, but it will never give me a guarantee. So the pressure is also on us. We do recognize, and we do feel that we owe them, a trophy for their support. But I always feel that as fans, I do understand the disappointment, but I feel conditional support is something which I don't know. I am a maybe I am a different breed of a football fan. My support for my club remains, right, because I love the club for the identity it brings to me. I feel when you speak about support getting conditional, that I will only support you when you win something. Maybe I'm of a dying generation. I'm a dinosaur. I don't see it that way, right? I feel support for your club has to be in the good times and the bad, because eventually the day we do win something, you cannot just say I'll become a fan now because now you won something, and for all the years that you didn't, I'm not a fan. So I do feel you need to give positive energy as well. I do feel the players feed off that energy also. When you give them that belief, and when everybody collectively rallies together, that energy also sometimes helps push you over the line. And the Blasters fans have been so fantastic over the years. I've literally seen them change games. When I was with Odisha, I was unlucky to be at the receiving end of it. When you're leading by a goal, and suddenly we had a penalty which we couldn't convert, and the energy inside the stadium just changed, and
Changes.
and it literally pushed the players on to win that game, right? So I've seen live examples of that happen, and you need more of that, even when the times are not as good as you expect it to be, and you feel that, oh, everything is collapsing around me. I think that's when you need the most support.
Correct.
And you need to give the players that feeling that we are with you, the coach, the management, everybody, that we are with you. And at the end of the season, or at the end, when things are put into balance, then you can have a harsh review of yourself, and then you can ask the questions. But conditional support, I feel, is detrimental. In fact, if you're more positive, I know the wait has been long, but sometimes the wait is worth it, right? So
Correct.
we all need to come together for that. I believe we hold ourselves accountable. We try our best, but also given the scenario that there exists in Indian football, we are all trying to now reach a place where things are stabilized, right? So the first focus is to ensure that we all survive this difficult period, and then to make sure that we cement what we have, and we stabilize ourselves. But obviously, football is a competitive sport. None of us are in it to lose, right? It's not fun. We'll try our best. And which is why the investment in things like the training ground, etc., so that not just the first team, we have, I would believe, one of the best academies in India, also in terms of the players produced and the percentage of
Yes.
progression from each age group. uh,
Yes.
so I don't see why not, if you can
Abhika,
produce your own
I can,
players.
if I can add,
Yeah,
under 23 team, which is
yeah,
doing quite well in the recently AFC under 23 qualifiers. I was getting the list from Nausad Bhai, and he showed me the list. It consisted mainly of Kerala Blasters and Bengaluru FC players.
yeah,
I told him, we
correct.
were just having a small fun regarding it. That why only these two clubs? So I
Yeah.
think that's another great work done by the club. I think we should appreciate it.
No, and
So,
and I think we've seen examples that when somebody is, it's not about, sometimes of course you need experience, but if you're young and if you're good enough, we saw Koru last year, who broke through. If you're good
mm,
enough, it doesn't matter what your age is, right? And I do think we have many such talents available, who if you give them the right grooming, and if you give them the right opportunity, will show what they're capable of, right? So that's always been our philosophy, to back young talent, especially from Kerala. And Kerala is a gold mine of talent, right? It's about identifying it even better. It's about letting the good players not slip through the cracks, and ensure that they are in your system.
I think the one question, I think this question would, I think, might bother you a bit, but a report came out recently in media that there was a displeasure that you are not happy with the way the support is being given from the state government. Was it true? And do you think any discussion happened after that with the government to get some more subsidies? Basically, you asked for some subsidies in some places. You didn't ask for anything for free. What I know and what I've gone through with the articles, but there was something. There was no discussion from the government. I think. Are you happy right now with the government, or still the same problem?
No, so it's not about displeasure. Displeasure is a strong word. I think it's about, like I said, sport being given, just forget football, it's just sport in general being given a helping hand, right? Because sport, within any state, the three main pillars of a sporting body is, A, it is providing a platform for local talent, not just players, but also people who are working at the club during, with the club. So many, we have so many, local people from Kerala that are working inside our club on match days, and in the office, etc. So it's providing employment. It's also providing, a way for kids to have a better childhood, not get distracted and not go into other areas that are, counterproductive for their development. Sport is always a healthy option to choose. And finally, it's bringing people together. It's sort of a very positive asset for the community, right? So it's not about displeasure, it's just about ask. So at the moment, see, we are spending anyway. The owners have sort of spent, they will continue to do so basis, what exists within the club. But what we are asking for is, some, like a helping push or a helping hand, which
Mhm.
just makes things easier for us, right? So if that happens, we will be able to do things better. That's about it. That's the extent of it. It's not about, as people think that it's very monetary and it's very business minded. No, we're just
Mhm.
asking that, given what we are contributing, and given what we can do,
Yes.
we're just asking for some assistance, for
From
example,
some.
in getting land, for example. For building
Mhm.
something, right? That's just one example of things that we need help with, because at the end of the day, it will benefit everybody, so there's no displeasure involved. It's just an observation which I have seen in the previous clubs I've worked at, how government support can sometimes help and turn things around, and give clubs added advantages. And in India, of course, because we are not in an ecosystem where the clubs are making enough money and are so cash rich that they're building out their own stadiums, own facilities, etc. Any help will be appreciated. So that's about it. I think it's not that we are we are what do you call it, without that we won't survive. It's not that, but it will always be good if we can work hand in glove with them to just ensure that we are able to do better than what we can currently.
Okay, okay. I think I think last two questions to you before we wrap up. Firstly, Mike, this question would be regarding the clubs, fans, and the Manjapara and the group, the many fan clubs which are attached to the club. So recently, when you took over the club, and when you were appointed as the CEO of the club, you had an interaction with the. This was the first time there was an interaction happening between what we saw. This is not very obvious thing we see in Indian football, where club and media, club and the fans interact. There was I think there were representatives from their side also, and there were club representative discussing about the club's well-being and what's the plan for future. So was it something which you brought in, or what was the motive behind it? So you wanted to have an understanding about what the fans are thinking right now. What was the motive behind it?
No, it was even done. I think Kerala Blasters is one of the more responsive clubs, because even when I wasn't there, the club used to have forums where Nikhil used to attend, Callis used to attend, answer fan questions. It's not alien. I just it's just in my nature. That's who I am, right? I like to speak to different people. It's part of who I am. Wherever I'll go, I'm somebody who likes to interact, and I'm somebody who likes to be. Sometimes I'll tell you where the issue arises is when fans or when people hear what they don't want to hear, right? Sometimes if you tell them something which is the truth, or something which is born out of what your circumstances are, they don't like. So it's very selective. If you're telling them what they want to hear, everybody's very happy. But when you're telling them what they don't want to hear, that's when people get upset, right? That's when they start saying you don't need to write essays and you don't need to tell us, etc., etc. But the intention always is, which club would want to not interact with its fans, and not know what they're feeling? Because at the end of the day, football is for the fans. We do understand what their frustrations are. We do understand what their pain is. It's not lost on us, and obviously we feel that pain as well. Sometimes when things are not going, we are the most affected. I know people, we don't sleep at nights. You sometimes are worried about what to do. There's immense pressure. Everybody at the club is working really hard, and everybody at the club is, and Kerala Blasters is one of the clubs where the employees actually are passionate about the club. They have been fans of the club. So for them it means more than possibly. And
A job.
I'm sure it's the same with other clubs like Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, where people are so passionate about it. It
Mhm.
means more to them when they are working within the club. They give their everything, heart and soul, to ensure that they are doing justice to their job. So um, so the intent to communicate is whether I've been told sometimes that you should not do it too much, and sometimes it's you should just keep your distance, etc. But that's who I am. We try and do that. We established a fan advisory board for this reason itself, that we felt that sometimes what we are saying is not being represented correctly, let's just put it that way, or not being done justice to our side of it, is not fairly represented, or we're not having like a what do you call it, justice done to the discussion, so which is why we appointed FAB to keep things more what do you call it, keep the discussions
Trans
more neutral, transparent,
neutral.
and
Uh,
also more exhaustive, right?
uh,
But the idea is every fan club within the club, I've interacted with over a period of time. Contrary to what people believe, there is no selective, what do you call it, vendetta that is being dished out to any fan group, etc. For us, everybody is the same. But what we value
mhm.
is communication to be fair, right? If we make a mistake, we'll hold our hands up for it. But if the club does something right, we would also like fans to enjoy it and be appreciative. It's two way, right? Two ways.
Mm,
That's how it is. So
correct.
whether we are right or wrong, I don't know. But
Mhm.
interaction is valued by us. We try and interact as much as possible to get feedback, and then whatever is feasible, we try and implement it as well.
Sure, sure, sure. Avikta, I come to the last part of the discussion. I think this part is quite concerning about the Indian football and the whole spectrum. Of late, we have seen good success on field. Women's team qualifying for the Asian Cup, then under 20 women's team again qualifying for the Asian Cup. Yesterday, CAF Nations Cup, you saw India becoming a bronze medalist in the CAF Nations Cup, which is a big achievement. And you see under 23 team doing quite well in that level. So currently going by the scenario Indian football is in. So, do you think that the AIF already has given official statement that Super Cup would be held in October? It will be held in a phased manner, according the words they have used, phased manner from October 25 to 22nd of November. Do you, because as the football cycle has not started for Kerala Blasters still now, if you see they have not started off. So are you in a position to participate in Super Cup if it happens in October? And because right now we are
So
in
yeah, so we will obviously take that decision internally. Right now, I think yesterday was when clubs were invited to participate, so we will have some internal discussions. We will see, evaluate all angles, not just us. All the other clubs are doing the same. Some can, some cannot. Everybody has their own reasonings to do so, but we'll definitely assess it. I think in the next few days, it will become clear as to which direction we are going in. But the intent obviously is to ensure that Indian football gets back on track, because there is a knock-on effect of everything, right? There's a commercial effect. So, and every club is sort of built in a different way. Some clubs are owner driven, some clubs are commercially driven, some clubs are able to sustain certain financial burdens, etc. So every club has its own strategy in terms of how they want to approach things, right?
correct.
Um, and basis that, I think every club will take a decision about what they want to do going forward, which will be in their best interests, because at the end of the day, the league is important as well. And everybody wants the calendar. We will not be sitting here talking about participation in the Super Cup if it was a normal season, right? It's a given that you'll do
Hmm,
that. It's just that clubs
correct.
are just a bit more wary and a bit more, what do you call it? How would I say? They're doing more research as to what impact it'll have
Mhm,
financially, etc. But
mhm,
obviously, everybody wants to play, everybody wants to participate, and everybody wants things to get normal as soon as possible. But we'll know in a few days what our stand is. I'm sure
mhm,
all the other clubs are in the same mode. Apart from some, I think most of the clubs who played the Durand Cup and those involved in continental competitions. The rest, I think, are doing their due diligence. I think you'll know as a collective in a few
mhm.
days what most of the clubs have decided to do.
Hopefully, this problem in Indian football gets resolved very soon, and we see football back the domestic football back in the field, because we see in Durand Cup we saw many of the clubs not participating. That was a big concerning fan for the fans and for the reporters. So thank you, Abhigda, for your time, taking out time for us, and I think it was lovely hosting you, and I think we will catch up very soon once the league starts in, and I think the Kerala Blasters wish you all the best with Kerala Blasters. You achieve more heights and success in this club. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.